I had the opportunity to visit the Department of Energy cybersecurity team at Germantown and to get a crash course on the bad actors that exist. I also saw how easily a company or agency can find itself vulnerable. NIST develops the guidelines that all federal non-defense agencies must follow. For industry, they are minimal, a voluntary floor for our security. And it seems to me, however, that an agency can just ignore these rules, placing massive amounts of sensitive private information on my constituents at risk. Mr. Koskinen, if I can address this to you, in a regular business, someone is usually responsible to accomplish their task and are held responsible for their failure to do so. IRS, unfortunately, has an abysmal record in holding their officials accountable, as we saw with the Lois Lerner incident a few years back. If you don't get fired for discriminating against political organizations and destroying evidence, I don't know how you would ever get fired at the IRS. Mr. Wilshusen spoke about the enforcement actions at the federal government and said that he does not know that OMB has ever taken any action. I appreciate your seemingly lamenting statement about the burden of mandates, such as Obamacare, that they have on your agency, but all agencies have been strapped. And I think keeping my constituents' private information safe should be one of the highest priorities you have. What internal actions have you taken, considering you are still non-compliant with basic NIST and OMB standards?
I think we are compliant with NIST standards. As the Inspector General said, the prior authentication systems are no longer appropriate, and we agree with that and have taken those down. And in fact, with regard to go back in history about what happened in the past, the entire chain of command in the C4 issues with regard to social welfare organizations, shortly thereafter none of them were in place at the IRS. And so I don't think you can say people didn't leave, were not held accountable. But I do think it is important for people to be accountable. I am actually talking with another congressman. We have any number of people who are in fact dismissed every year. For instance, we dismiss automatically anyone who takes uses improper access to any taxpayer information, any IRS employee. We discipline employees for being in default on their taxes. We have the highest compliance rate of any federal agency by a long shot, but even then we take that very seriously. So I think it's not fair to imply that, in fact, people are not held accountable. In cybersecurity, we are dealing with a rapidly changing circumstance, fighting increasingly organized and sophisticated criminal elements around the world. We are, as you say, we regret that we've had the difficulties we've had. We've had significant successes at the same time. We value the partnerships we have with the IG and the GAO, and we're working to implement their security and suggestions as quickly as we can.
I would say certainly in the most high-profile situations, we haven't seen that accountability, and my constituents haven't, and they still are very fearful of their information. Let me